The example of Larzac that we've just seen is in fact a textbook case in the true sense of the term, because it's a survey that was carried out by 20 participants who were in training on survey techniques in human sciences. Therefore, the example that we developed demonstrates artifacts linked to the pedagogical situation and the significant differences in the carrying out of the interviews, and which above all will have a large impact on data processing. The main difference is that the interviews were carried out by different people. The 20 participants were organized into small survey groups, and they each carried out 4 or 5 interviews. Therefore, we had to pool the results stemming from the interview so that all of the participants had knowledge of all of the content of the information revealed, and this is what we achieved via the matrix. This can never replace the fact of doing all of the interviews oneself, whereas when we're in a research situation or we're responsible for a project, we generally carry out the 30 or so interviews that we will be processing afterwards alone. If this is not the case, we have to demand this, because otherwise it will be very difficult when we come to process the information. What's the advantage of carrying out all of the interviews oneself? First of all, we will have a greater homogeneity in managing the interviews. We will ourselves have heard the interviewees giving their answers. We will have taken notes ourselves on all of the interview contents. We will have cleaned these notes up, and as these interviews are carried out, we can continue our reflection on the validity of the questions and therefore on the problematics, on the sample that we have formed. And we will already, in a somewhat informal manner, trying to be looking for resemblances or major differences between different interviews that we've heard at different points. What is important is that each time that we make a change in the sample or the problematics, we have to note these down. We have to say why we have to change the research questions or the sample. And therefore, we must leave traces of all of these reflections. It's very important, because when we hand back the results of the survey, we will probably have to come back to these arguments which led us to change the survey as it was designed at the beginning. And when we come to process the data, because we have heard, taken notes and cleaned up the interviews ourselves, we will have a far stronger memory of all of the information collected. We will have an initial idea of the possible groups and of the major differences. Therefore, to close this study on the Larzac case, we can say that we successfully concluded the conception of the interview guides, the interviews and classifying the information in the matrix, but afterwards, when we came to the interpretation, we encountered some difficulties because the knowledge of all of this information was too fragmented.